WCNC Charlotte Sports Director Nick Carboni here in our live Impact News studio. We are talking NBA draft as I sit here today. Round one is just 6 days away. Hornets with the number 4 overall pick, and we are going to be talking draft all the way leading up to the big night on our WCNC Draft Night special. You can watch that live Wednesday night here at 7 o'clock on WCNC+. So we've been trying to talk to guests that, maybe pay attention to college basketball, maybe pay attention to what the Hornets are doing. How about one that's all of the above and then some? I want to welcome in my good friend Paul Biancardi, recruiting director for ESPN. He's also their college basketball and NBA draft analyst and puts together the ESPN Top 100. So he is all over these kids from when they are in high school all the way leading up to the draft. So, Paul, first of all, thank you for joining me. Secondly, what is it like to follow these kids from when they're just getting started in their basketball careers all the way to draft night and you see them walk the stage?
Nick, that's a great point. I get to watch these kids, evaluate them, get to know them as people, their parents, their families, their siblings. And I feel like I'm on the journey with them, from high school to college. It's such a big decision where to go and who you're going to play for and all those great decisions they have to make. Some think about actually what major they're going to study. And then the guys that have a chance to move on to be NBA draft picks, whether it's the first round, second round, I pay attention to everyone, even guys that become free agents.
Who's the guy you're proudest of hitting on in that top 100 that went on to become, a lottery pick or an NBA All-Star? Like, who's the first guy that comes to mind?
Gosh, it's been 15 years, Nick. So it's a loaded question.
You got a high success. You got a high batting average too, but I don't know if there's one that nobody else saw coming but Paul Biancardi.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'll tell you one guy recently that I hit on, which was Reed Sheppard. I made it known that I thought he was a McDonald's All-American, and he became a McDonald's All-American. Now, I did not know he'd be a one and done, but I did think he had the ability to be a first-round NBA draft pick. It just happened a lot faster than I even thought, and I was really high on Reed Sheppard. So that's a recent one that I can think of. But boy, there's been some misses too. Now, let's just talk about the hits. But there's been a lot of guys you think that have a great opportunity, to be something special, and for different reasons they don't make it.
Well, I don't think Cooper Flagg is going to be a miss. I mean, obviously he was your number one in his class, and classified early. Actually, you had him graded as a 97. Is there anybody you've seen like him? Like, is there who would be the closest comparison coming out of high school and then one and done and being the top pick?
Well, first of all, let me backtrack. I first watched Cooper Flagg as a rising sophomore coming in high school out of Maine. His AAU coach was Andy Bedard. Andy played for us at Boston College. So I get a phone call from Andy. He said, "Hey, coach, you've got to see this kid. He's special." I said, "Where's he from?" He goes, "He's from Maine." I said, "Did he play basketball or hockey?"
Yeah.
How good can this kid be out of Maine? He says, "I'm telling you, he's really good." And Andy played for us at 2 years. We won the Big East championship. Then Andy transferred to Maine to finish his career. So Andy had a real good idea of what a high-level basketball player should look like. When I watched Cooper Flagg on film, I was more than interested. He was about 6'6 plus. You could see the versatility and athleticism right away. It's hard to see athletic ability on film. And then shortly thereafter, I saw him play in the summer live, and I felt that at that point he could be really special when it comes to high school basketball. The ESPN Top 100, a ranked player, somebody who can go as a high major prospect. There were a lot of holes to fill in, but not that many holes. But you could just see how special he was and where he was destined to. So Cooper Flagg, for me, is a no-bust prospect in this draft.
Yeah, you talk about filling in the holes that there were, the few that there were. Is that one of his best attributes, to take something that may not be a strength and turn it into one pretty quickly? It seems like he's done, classifying early, coming out early into college, one of the youngest players in college, and he's player of the year.
Yeah, let's not forget, he's supposed to be entering Duke right now as a freshman. He reclassified to become a freshman last year, so now he's in the draft. The elite players do that to move ahead in the draft quickly so they can get into that second contract a little bit faster. But Cooper Flagg is everything that you would want in a prospect. And you mentioned it. He gets better at everything for one simple reason. He's a worker. He dedicates himself to the game. He's pure. You know, he may be on social media, but that doesn't drive his existence. What drives his existence is playing the game, competing, and winning. And when he doesn't win, he gets frustrated very quickly. So what happens is he goes back in the gym and continues to work on things that could be just a little bit better or something that he's really good at, he wants to be great at. He's the ultimate worker. It's his approach to the game, his mindset during the game. And Nick, it's as simple as this. He is one of the most competitive and coachable stars that I've seen in my 15 plus years at ESPN and in my 22 years coaching college basketball.
Consensus number one all the way next Wednesday night. Don't let those clickbait headlines fool you. Is Dylan Harper the consensus?
No.
is Dylan?
No. Who's putting that out there?
They popped up. We pay no attention to that. There's no doubt Cooper Flagg's going to Dallas.
Let me just make one quick point. Everybody who does a mock draft has never been in a draft room.
All right, so we should have some fun with all the avenues we could take with this. So Dylan Harper, is he the consensus number 2? I know that you had Ace Bailey with a really high grade in your top 100. Seems to be a lot going on with him in this pre-draft process. So do you think Dylan Harper is the surefire number 2, whether it's the San Antonio or whether somebody else is going to go up and get him?
Yeah, I think he's the best overall basketball player after Cooper Flagg. And Cooper Flagg has productivity and potential. Same goes for Dylan Harper. When he was in high school, he was the number 1 player at one time in the class of 2025. So that shows you his star ability. I called him a bigger, stronger Jalen Brunson, left-handed, great frame, could take contact. He can carry defenders into the lane. He is really good, Nick, at driving kick and ball screen offense. Capable three-point shooter, excellent passer, plays with his head up, his eyes are wide open, looking to make the next correct play. Really good competitor, needs to grow in the game defensively. But I'll tell you this, at 17 years old, USA Basketball put him on the 19 and under team. The reason they did it, his maturity level, his decision-making, and his work habits. And let's not forget his dad, Ron Harper, 5-time NBA champ. I mean, this guy was born to be an NBA player.
All right, so we got to talk about Ace Bailey because the talent is very obviously there, and you have a unique perspective because you've covered, evaluated, been around these guys since earlier in their high school careers, and you're around the people that are around the players as well. There's been a lot of negativity about Ace Bailey in the pre-draft process. Where do you think that comes from, and what do you think of him as a potential NBA player?
Well, first of all, beside the evaluating and the interviews and being around the people that they are around, I had a chance to coach Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, and Ace Bailey at the Steph Curry camp. It's his private camp out in San Francisco where he only invites 15 of the top players in the country. There's a small group of coaches. I was invited into that circle, which I'm very grateful for, but I got to be on the court with those guys. And obviously I studied what Ace Bailey did at Rutgers and knew everything about him in the high school ranks. As talented as anybody in this draft, maybe more talented just in terms of pure upside than Cooper Flagg. Okay, but he doesn't have some of the intangibles just yet that some of the other players in the top half of the draft have. And I don't know why people say he's sliding, because when you look at the drafts from the past, he was projected as maybe, coming into this year, maybe number 2, number 3. We're talking about now, 5, maybe 6. I don't know if that's a slide or just a compliment to some of the other guys who've made some progression over the last couple of months. Ace Bailey, he's a 6'7", we found out at the combine, measured, a shot maker. And that's what he does best. He's a great athlete, second best athlete in the draft, in my opinion, to VJ Edgecombe. And he can score from anywhere on the floor. He's got great versatility and athleticism. He's today's modern small forward type. Why he's moving down a little bit, I'm not quite sure. His talent is undeniable. And, he has to pick up on some of the intangibles. I wouldn't say Ace Bailey is an everyday player just yet. Like Cooper Flagg, he's an everyday guy. Ace Bailey needs to become an everyday guy. But he is uber talented, and he'll be somewhere in the top 5 in this draft.
If the Hornets do take a swing at that massive potential for Ace Bailey, I mean, Charlotte, as you know, they're still a relatively young team. They haven't accomplished what they want and gotten to the playoffs, just a couple play-in appearances. They're still kind of seeing if somebody will emerge as that, leader on the court and off. What can the Hornets do to surround Ace Bailey and give him the tools that he needs to put that all together, as you mentioned?
Yeah, he would need a lot of attention from a maturity standpoint, showing him the way, explaining how to be a professional, how to time management your day, how to watch film in the strength and conditioning room, pre-practice, post-practice. He got a taste of that at Rutgers, but obviously with him and Dylan Harper, they didn't have enough maturity and experience around them to make the NCAA tournament. And that same measure holds true for Ace Bailey when he comes to the NBA. So if he were to be with the Hornets, Coach Lee and the staff and Jeff Peterson would have to make sure they really nurture him in a way where they give him confidence, not confidence to play, but confidence that they believe in him, and he'll need reps. He is a star waiting to happen talent-wise, but he's the type of guy, I believe you can't put him down in the G League. He's not going to learn anything. He's already got the talent. He's already got the confidence in his game, but he needs to know that people have confidence in him, and he needs to be shown the way in every way as a professional. I think he would have to stay with the team and somehow find some minutes on a team, as you mentioned, Nick, relatively young, knocking on the door to be a playoff team.
All right, just to show people how much Paul Biancardi nails the top 100 every year, the same basically guys in the top 5 of your 2024 top 100 are projected to be basically top 5 picks, and Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey. Trey Johnson was number 5 for you. He could go 4 to the Hornets. Do VJ Edgecombe and Con Knipple give the Hornets the mix of talent but also like maturity that they might need right away from a rookie?
Well, let me say this. If Ace Bailey's on the board, I don't think there's a decision to be made.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, you can't leave that talent on the board. You would have drafted the best talent that's left on the board, and I think that's the job of an NBA franchise when you're drafting this high in the lottery. And if Ace Bailey hits, some people say, and he does remind me a little bit, just backing up on him a little bit, Michael Porter Jr. type, and he could be better. So if he's on the board, I think you have to take a serious look at him. VJ Edgecombe fits, Con Knipple fits, Trey Johnson fits. A lot of guys fit, but there's a little difference in terms of talent between Ace Bailey and those guys. And I would say the next most talented player on the board is VJ Edgecombe. And he comes in as the best athlete, in my mind, vertically in this draft. Great finisher in transition, straight line driver, can be an excellent on-ball defender, and that could take a lot of pressure off of LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. Somebody who's willing to guard the ball, fight over ball screens, and be a defensive presence. He averaged over 2 steals a game at Baylor. He does a little bit of everything well, and sometimes people don't talk about his shooting because he's not a shooter, but when you study his numbers and you watch his mechanics, they're both good. He shot 39% in the Big 12 from 3, 34% overall. He's a worker, high character guy. Really high character. Does everything in a mature, professional way. Guys would love being with him. He's a great teammate. And I think those numbers from the shooting perspective would go up. And then you get the defense, the straight line drive ability. He doesn't have to take shots from other guys, but he could be capable to score some points each game, and he gives it to you on the defensive end. Knipple, my mind, the best pure shooter in the draft. If you're going to throw the ball to somebody in a stationary spot and say, make this shot, I'm throwing it to Knipple. So he's a floor spacer. He's a great catch and shoot guy, very good passer. Those are his elite skills, shooting and passing. He can shoot on the move, but he's great off the catch, and he's somebody who brings functionality to an offense. He can move the ball, he can make the assist, and he's a guy you can throw it to, and maybe, just maybe, he'll throw it back to you because he has that kind of awareness. Probably has one of the highest IQs in this draft.
Is Edgecombe a player that, with his defensive intensity, and obviously the Hornets and Charles Lee, I think, did a lot of good work last year with this group to try to get him to lock in more on that side. Is he somebody that could both take some of that responsibility on his own as a rookie and kind of take it away from some guys, but also could it rub off on, you know, a team that's got to improve in that respect?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. I think, now, would he be a stopper as a rookie? No, but he would be a key defensive piece. With those steals come a lot of deflections that only maybe Baylor will chart. He covers ground well. He understands defensive concepts at an early age. He'll give you the competitiveness and the coachability and the basketball defensive IQ. And that can help stabilize the Hornets defensively. They weren't bad defensively. Some nights they were bad, but overall they were pretty average, I would say, defensively. And let's not forget, they never had their whole team all season long, so you had no idea what type of defensive or offensive team the Hornets were last year. And you don't know what they're going to be next year. But VJ Edgecombe can definitely give them something that I believe that, you know, outside of Cooper Flagg, that nobody else can give them on the defensive end.
You were obviously high on Trey Johnson coming out of high school. He's certainly in line to be a probable top 10 pick. What are your thoughts on him, the year he had at Texas, what he projects as, and, you know, if it's a possibility at 4 of, you know, Edgecombe or Bailey or Knipple, Johnson, like, does he fit that kind of top 5 profile in your mind right now?
In my mind, he does. He's the best pure scorer in the draft. And when you start to dig into the Hornets and their numbers, right, they averaged a little bit more than most of the league in terms of three-point field goal attempts, but they were third worst in percentages. They were a low assist team. Okay, now why were they a low assist team? Was it the passing ability? Was it the lack of shooting ability, right? We don't know that yet because they were not a whole group last year. But I think if you look at Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball, and that's who this draft pick is going to fall between, meaning that person's going to slot in between those two. Now, you still have Josh Green, Trey Mann, who is a free agent, but Trey Mann was their best three-point shooter last year, percentage-wise. I think Trey Johnson can come in, Nick, and get a bucket. He's one of those guys, you know, like an Ace Bailey, that plays with great offensive confidence. You don't have to run a play for him, and he can still score in terms of a catch-and-shoot three. Trey Johnson has the wiggle in his dribble to get to an open spot. He's a great shot creator, but he's not afraid to do it. And when you put LaMelo Ball, who's a great passer, who can find Trey Johnson, Brandon Miller, who attracts so much defensive help, I think Trey Johnson takes a lot of pressure off of Ball and Brandon Miller. And he's certainly conceivable at the 4 pick. Edgecombe, Trey Johnson, Knipple could all be there. Should all be there at 4. To me, it's VJ Edgecombe and Ace Bailey. Which one of those two guys is going to be the number 3 pick? And then Charlotte's going to have to make a decision after that.
Listen, if we had this conversation last year, Paul, I would have never admittedly uttered the name Tidjane Salaün. I know it's a bit of a more well-known, there's a lot of more well-known commodities at the top end of this draft, but maybe the Hornets get a haul and they want to move back. Is a guy like Jakachonis somebody you think they might be interested in? Asange or even Malawach from Duke, would those guys be appealing to you still in the top 10?
Depends what you're getting for them, right?
You're right.
You talk about trading. You're at number 4 in one of the best drafts that we've had in a while. You're going to get a great asset. Whether or not this prospect draft pick works out or not, you're going to get someone that down the line you could trade if you need to. I'm not moving on this pick unless they can get to number 2 for Dylan Harper.
Right.
And, what they have and what somebody else would want. So I think they're in a great spot. They just have to analyze, okay, whoever Philly takes at 3, that's basically going to leave a couple of guys on the board to choose from. You have to pick out which problem you want to solve first. And for me, the way the Hornets have played under Charles Lee with the high 3-point field goal attempts and their low 3-point field goal percentage, to me, it's somebody that can put the ball in the basket. You got Bailey, you've got Trey Johnson, you've got Con Knippel, and you have VJ Edgecombe, who's maybe not the best shooter of that group, but has huge upside. So you can't leave talent on the board. And to me, it's Bailey and Edgecombe are the most 2 talented players that could be available for the Hornets.
All right, Paul Biancardi, recruiting director from ESPN, NBA draft and college basketball analyst, ESPN Top 100. All right, man, before I let you go, who's the next Cooper Flagg? Who should I be writing down for the next couple of years?
Well, let me tell you about next year's draft real quickly. If you think this year's draft is good, and it is great, you talked about the top 5 guys in this draft. They were all in the top 5 in the ESPN 100. They're all one-and-done guys, McDonald's All-Americans. Nick, next year's draft at the top, A.J. DiBonsa, who's at BYU. You got Darren Peterson at Kansas. Both of those guys are going to be near the top of the draft. They'll be fighting it out for the number 1 spot. And Cameron Boozer, the son of Carlos Boozer, is at Duke, and he's going to have a Cooper Flagg-like effect at Duke. He'll be a lottery pick. And Nate Ament at Tennessee, he's a 6'10" skilled forward. Those 4 guys will be at the top of next year's draft, and they are as good, if not better, than the top of this draft.
Well, I hope the Hornets are not at the top of next year's draft,
yes,
but if they are, hopefully some lottery luck in top 4. Paul Biancardi, thanks so much for joining us.
All right, Nick, thanks for having me.
You got it. All right. Again, our NBA draft special on WCNC Plus tips off 7 o'clock Wednesday night, June 25th.